but he didn't have a lot to work with. Like, I don't know. He must have taken this for the paycheck and not for the.
I think that's what actors do, dear. They do
No,
movies
shut
to
up.
get
You know
paid.
what I mean. Like,
That's their livelihood.
don't shut your mouth. I'm not done.
Love you.
You're such a smartass.
No.
Welcome to Hey, did you ever see that movie? I'm your hostess, and as always, I'm joined by my sick little co-host, Lynn.
A beer in the hand is worth two in the fridge.
And joining us again, the podcaster with 1,000 potions, Mikki.
Hey, Chris, try the crab. It's real good.
I'm allergic to crab. And last but not least, the podcaster packing heat, Tony 2.0.
I got so excited about this movie, I forgot to write down a line from it.
This week we will be discussing the 2003 thriller action movie Out of Time, directed by Carl Franklin, written by David Collard, starring the great Denzel Washington, the beautiful Eva Menendez, Sana Lathan, and Dean Cain. As always, this podcaster will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, then come back and listen to the podcast. So Glenn and I have been extremely sick for about a week now. And we're just going to do the best we can today, so bear with us. Take a minute, like, subscribe, and share the podcast. If you're listening on YouTube, like, subscribe, and comment. If you're listening on Apple, please give us a 5-star review because it helps the podcast grow. Or don't. Okay, let's do some opening thoughts. So, I watched this movie for the first time about 6 months ago, before watching it today for the podcast. I remember liking it very much and having a big twist ending. Question is, did it? And was it any good? We're about to find out. Glenn, had you ever watched the movie before preparing for the show?
No, I think when you had watched it, I stopped and watched a little bit over your shoulder, but I had never sat down and watched this movie.
Okay, and Tony, had you ever watched the movie?
I had. I've had the pleasure. Or not.
And Mikki? Big fan?
I had a really long time ago, maybe when it first came out, and I remember liking it more than I liked it this time.
All right, let's do some quick facts on this one. So I got a couple. So Franklin made the actors feel like they were constantly out of time by setting all the clocks forward by 1 hour on the set. And number 2, Denzel Washington was paid $20 million for his role. Not a guy that's probably worried about being an hour late. You guys got any facts on this, Dylan?
Unfortunately, I do not this week.
Okay. Tony, you got any facts on this bad boy?
I got a couple. Dean Cain, the actor, was actually drafted by an NFL team coming out of college and decided to not pursue football as a career, but went into Hollywood. And also, the gentleman that plays Detective Bronze, who's a fellow named O.L. Duke, is Denzel Washington's stand-in. And Denzel liked him so much, he said, I'm going to put you in this movie. You're not just a guy who takes up space. You're a guy we want to put in the film. And although he really doesn't have any lines, the best part is when the elderly lady points at him and says, that's him right there. Or it could be that guy. Or it could be that guy.
It's because a good scene.
Those are his stand-ins.
It's a good scene. I like it. It's clever. And knowing that that's his stand-in makes that even funnier.
Right.
Awesome. How about you, Mikki? Got anything on this?
I did, and you stole it, so...
Awesome. There you go. Okay. With a box office budget of $50 million, 20 of millions which went to Denzel, and a box office gross of a whopping $55 million, this was considered a push by the studio, which is always a huge fail. All right, let me give you guys a quick synopsis, and then we will get into the movie. A Florida police chief must solve a vicious double homicide before he falls under suspicion himself. Movie at 8. So there you go. That's the synopsis. Dylan, let's do it.
All right. I apologize to everybody for my squeaky voice. I'm doing the best I can. In Banyan Key, Florida, Chief Matthias Whitlock is making his rounds. He gets a call from a woman about an intruder. He finishes his beer and heads over. She invites him into her bedroom for the investigation, and they end up on the bed kissing. It's just a sexy game between these two that are having a bit of an affair. The chief gets another call interrupting the assault with a deadly weapon fun. The next morning, Matt has breakfast in a cafe where he's admiring the front page of the paper showcasing his big drug bust. Chris Harrison stops to speak to him with some edgy banter. Chris's wife, Anne, the caller from the previous evening, says hello before politely going to the table with Chris. Later, Matt returns to the office and meets his friend Che, the medical examiner. They discuss the huge wad of cash sitting in the evidence locker from the drug bust. Che talks about all the things they could do with the money, but is interrupted when Matt's soon-to-be ex-wife, Alex Diaz Whitlock, comes asking for his keys to get some of her belongings. Matt gives her a hard time, but Alex is not having it, and she takes the keys before leaving. So I really love the way the movie starts out. We get this Latin Miami, Florida Keys vibe. You know, you get that cool music, the Graham Revell music, and you get the kind of person that Matt is right away. He's conscientious enough to be checking businesses' doors are locked after hours. But then he returns to the station and he's drinking beers, and then he's going out to have sex games with his girlfriends while he's on the clock. So, he's good, but he's not. That using the cash from the drug bust is even being discussed makes you wonder if it could be an option before we even get into the meat of the story, that this money is going to come into play. Also, Alex didn't really seem to need the keys because I saw that rusty shack that Matt is living in, and she probably could have just pulled back one of the pieces of metal and walked into his home and taken her belongings back.
Yeah. So I was super excited going into this because, like I said, I remember loving this movie so much, and I am excited as it goes on, but unfortunately it devolves to the end where finally it just disintegrates. I mean, not to tip my hat on my review, but I'm so optimistic and enthused through the whole beginning of this movie, right up till the final act. So let's just run through the setup of these characters. I'm not sure if this was intentional, but the first few minutes of the movie, maybe the first half an hour of the movie is the calm before the storm. I got lulled into this fun Denzel banter-based movie like we get from Denzel with a very relaxed pace, right? But that all changes quickly once the director lights the fuse and the pacing goes light speed in this. And I loved it. I love that kind of contrast between the first maybe quarter of the movie and the last 3/4 of the movie. This opening scene with Whitlock and Anne, I figured out quick what their game was. And it sets up Whitlock as, cop that plays it loose, like Lynn said. We also get some clever humor. We need you to come quick. I'm coming now. I mean, this is fun. I like these action, crime movies with a little bit of humor, right under the surface. And I thought it was clever. I thought there was a lot of fun lines like that, like when Che says, you're like a cross between Friday and, Barney Fife. I mean, we're going to get a bunch of this stuff that I really enjoy. Next, we meet Chris. We learn quickly this is some sort of a love triangle and that Chris and Matt are very familiar with each other and that there's no love lost here. We're learning the character dynamics quickly with not a lot of exposition. So far the storytelling, it's on point. We meet Che. This is my favorite character in the movie by far. I love his little crooked offers to Matt that he delivers under the guise of just kidding, just kidding. I wish that this character had been utilized more in the movie. They just don't use him enough. And finally, we get the last piece to the puzzle. Matt's ex-wife and newly minted detective, Alex, played perfectly by Eva Menendez. I love this performance, and it felt like she was up to the task of going head-to-head with Denzel in this movie. I thought she was great. She kept me on the edge of my seat and was always just less than half a step behind him. And I thought it was a lot of fun. Mikki, what'd you think of the opening of the movie?
I thought the opening was good, and I agree with you. I loved Che. He was my favorite character. I feel like that guy plays the same character in every movie.
Yeah. Like in what is it? Independence Day. He plays the doctor that's taking care of the aliens underground. Oh no, sorry, different actor.
I don't even know what else he's been in, but I just love him. He's like this. You see him and you go, "Oh, that guy!" He's the same character in every movie. I love him. I do like the way they opened it. It gave you a very good sense of kind of the type of law enforcement guy that Denzel is. Mm-hmm. I love Denzel. I know he's done them before, but when I see Denzel in a sex scene, it makes me a little uncomfortable, and I don't know why. Because he's really good. He's a very charismatic man. He's very good looking, but I almost feel like he's too wholesome. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why. It makes me uncomfortable to watch Denzel in a sex scene. I thought Dean Cain's character, you get a really good idea right off the bat that he's kind of a shit. Before you get into the guts of what's going on, like you just look at him and you go, that guy's a dick. Like he's just a dick. I really don't like, is it Anne, the wife? Yeah, I know you're not supposed to, but I really don't like her. I think she's, and obviously we find out later, yes, but she's very sneaky. I don't like her right off the bat, even before kind of what's going on. Like I just don't like her from the get-go. And I'm going to disagree with Des. I thought they could have done better with Eva, but we'll go into that later, but I don't like her as a detective.
I'll agree with the panel here just a little bit. To me, the pacing is great. Carl Franklin does a great job of, as you said very eloquently, Des. He starts off slow, he kind of builds up, and then he gets into this kind of sort of frantic pace where, Matt is kind of chasing his tail and going bananas and great job with the music. Absolutely. Gramavell does a wonderful kind of backdrop almost, the beautiful sunsets and the music are like hand in hand, and it's a super set of shots. I also think, unfortunately, Denzel is not the actor for a sex scene. My wife has hit it on the head. If you notice the scene where they're in the bathroom in his house, they're all still wearing all their clothes. I mean, to the point where he hasn't so much as taken off the polo shirt he's wearing.
He's got his shorts on.
Yeah. I mean, it's not believable. There isn't very much chemistry between him and Anne whatsoever. She's really kind of a cold fish, and I don't know if that was meant to be that way, or if just as an actress she's not super, kind of, sexy or lust filled or whatever you want to call her. But she's really dry and kind of vanillan, It's just, it didn't sell me on any of it. And the other difference too is that, if you're to believe this whole scenario, she's in this abusive relationship with Chris. And, you would tend to believe like maybe that's the hatred, but it's the idea that Denzel doesn't, kind of go outside the boundaries. If I was dealing with a guy who was beating his wife, I wouldn't so much as even look at him. I wouldn't speak to him. That is, to me, that's about the lowest form of human life. But it doesn't seem like that situation, but they allude to it. So it's kind of flawed from the giddy up. I mean, I know we get involved in stuff, but if I was married to Alex, even if my marriage was on the rocks, I don't think Anne would have been jumping right in as the replacement there.
Right.
So I'm kind of having trouble buying this whole concept. Not only that, but being the third wheel is never a fun job. So what are you doing here, Matt? You got to wonder. A guy who's supposed to be intelligent and knowledgeable, and then he winds up in this situation. You're like, what the fuck are you thinking? And you'll say that a few more times as this movie goes on, because Matt makes some real bonehead plays.
Yeah, there's some weird fucking decisions by the director too and the writer to add Alex as Matt's wife.
Right.
It's I mean, for the payoff we get at the end, which is like the worst ending ever, it's like, why does she even have to be his wife? Why does this even have to be anything? Why can't she just be a detective on the case? Someone he knew from high school, small fucking Florida town. They all know each other. The whole wife thing didn't. It was such a terrible ending.
I think the one thing, not to interrupt you, but the juxtaposition between the Miami-Dade kind of big time department and then the small Banyan Key, life is slower, whatever.
Yeah.
That's kind of a theme they try to present in this whole movie. I don't think it works super well, but it's the idea that like that was like a rift in their marriage or something. And it's like, dude, if you can't get over that shit, you ain't ready to get married. I mean,
no,
you got to be a bigger man than that. Come on.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're going to introduce her as the wife and this whole four-way love triangle thing, which they actually say in the movie, even though this woman, the detective, has no idea that this was his fucking side, that Anne was his side dish, like, none of it comes into play. Like, she's a detective, but she doesn't know who her husband is.
She can't detect the shit that's right under her nose.
Yeah, none of this plays out right for me. And it's just, like you said, Tony, it's flawed right from the get. Some bad choices are made.
Yeah, I'd also like to interject and say that I don't feel like they ever really got into why they were getting divorced.
No,
so you don't really understand it. Like, yeah, there's a little bit of conversation like, oh, well, you didn't like it that I was, driving all the way to Miami to work, and you didn't like it that I wanted to stay close to the key, and like this it's such tiddlywink shit.
Yeah,
Right.
no, and what they're trying to do here is they're trying to, I believe, sort of deflect that Matt is an anti-hero. Like they want us to think he's a little shifty, but they don't want us to hate him. So she didn't leave him because he was cheating on her. She left him because he had a problem with her being a better cop than him and getting detective homicide where he's still just, walking the beat basically. And he was kind of forced into his affair because she didn't have time for him. It's, so I mean, I get what he's going at, but this subplot doesn't do anything for the plot of the movie. So why?
I think they were trying to make it out like her promotion kind of emasculated him, and
yes,
they didn't do a very good job of it.
Yeah, it didn't need to be in the movie, and it just gave this director a cheap, fucking unsatisfactory fucking ending to present us as the viewers that just So, fuck that. Shouldn't have been his wife. Should have just been a detective on the scene.
All right. After work, Matt is fishing from his deck. Anne arrives and her husband is away for the weekend. They have a quickie in the hallway and it's gross.
Again, fully clothed.
It's a fully clothed quickie.
They're like as teenagers and they just may as well be grinding on the couch. What the hell is that?
That is the best. That's the next. That's
like against the
next,
wall. Like
That's the next. Did you ever see that movie T-shirt?
And it's supposed to be, I don't know, it's supposed to be 9.5 weeks, and it's more like 9.5 minutes. I mean, come on, guys. This is just it's poorly executed.
Nobody
And
does
the
it like
shitty
that.
part is Carl Franklin is the director behind, like, House of Cards. I mean, he's done some TV and movie stuff that is awesome. And this movie, I don't know if they just were pressed for time or they didn't want to go into it, but it's like, dude.
Out of time.
Bing. Hey, yeah, you doing? It's a theme, I tell you.
Later in bed, Anne gets a call and has to leave. At Mercy Hospital Oncology, she meets a doctor and has Matt there acting as her brother. The doctor says her cancer is out of remission and she has 6 months to live. Matt asks about alternative approaches, and the doctor says they are expensive with no guarantees at a clinic in Switzerland. Anne shows Matt a $1 million insurance policy her husband took out on her 32nd birthday. Chris arrives and Matt slips out. Chris grills her about the doctor visit and they argue loudly. Matt knocks on the front door and says he's checking out a prowler to break it up. The next day, Alex has her name removed from Matt's home title at an attorney before Anne calls and says she's found a way to get to Switzerland. She takes Matt to a company who will give her $750,000 in return for being named the beneficiary on the insurance. Later, she's upset as the company has denied her enrollment in the program and she only has 2 days to change the beneficiary. Matt and Che are at a bar, and when Che leaves, Chris approaches Matt. Chris hints he knows Anne is seeing another guy. Things get very tense before Matt decides to walk away. I honestly, this whole thing with her going to the company and trying to get the money, and I feel like you could have cut this part out. Like, you could have just skipped it right to her making him the beneficiary. Like, I don't trust Chris. Clearly, we have a tumultuous relationship. I'm dying. I changed it to you. Period. You don't have to do this whole song and dance with this going to this company. I didn't enjoy that part.
Yeah. So I watching this and for the second time and thinking that I really loved it, I was having fun trying to catch the scent like a bloodhound on what was going on, put my detective's hat on. So I noticed something in the scene with Matt and Ann on the boat dock. Matt says, "What am I doing in this threesome?" And Ann says, "Foursome, including your wife." And Matt lies and says, "No, she's out of the picture. In fact, I told her to come get her stuff today," which isn't what happened. She came to get the stuff. So I get the impression that he still loves her and would like to take her back. But would he continue this affair with Anne behind her back? I don't know. I mean, the way the director's trying to paint Matt is it's not clear to me. Is he an anti-hero? Is he a hero? I mean, did he cheat because he's a dog? Did he start cheating because she was already, 1 foot out the door? It's not explained. And the character is not in focus for me. Next we get this scene in the doctor's office. And this is going to set up nicely for a payoff later that I didn't see coming, which was great because, when we find out this isn't really her doctor and we're going to find out, it's the guy that's in on this whole fucking plan, which is never flushed out and makes no sense, you know, it doesn't pay off. So again, there's all these great setups. This director is setting up all these things that could be so good, and they don't. And this is a fine line between a movie like The Usual Suspects, where you get all these great setups, and then at the end, they take you through every single one, and every single one pays off, and it was worth the wait, and it was worth me trying to figure out. We get none of that here. We just get a million great setups with no payoffs. Next, we get this scene where Chris reveals to Anne someone saw her going into the doctor's office with a man. Now, this scene is where I put on my detective's cap again. Anne tries to set up Chris as the suspect by showing Matt the insurance policy. But then I ask, why would Anne take Matt to her doctor that I have to assume knows her husband, Chris? And it just doesn't make any sense to me. They're introducing all this stuff, and it's just not paying off. Next, we get this very easy to understand scene with Matt and Anne in the money firm office making the deal for the $750K, which is a great easy plot device for this movie to move around. But again, I don't understand it. It doesn't really make any sense because sure, he's going to get the $1 million. They're going to give him approve him for the $1 million at the end, but he's not going to take it. And I don't understand any of it. And there's $100,000 against $1 million. None of this is making sense. And finally, we get this quick scene between Matt and Chris. And I do like it. It's great exposition, especially the line, you give Anne my best if you can. I mean, again, they're funny fucking lines. And the writing is decent. But the plot, like Tony said before we hit record, there's holes that you could just drive fucking Mack trucks through. This scene did kind of throw my scent off Chris as a bad guy because it sort of felt like he wasn't in the know. Like for a while I was thinking, oh, maybe he's kind of like pushed, you know, he's aware that Anne is messing around with Matt and he's okay with it because they're setting Matt up. But that's not really the case. I don't know, is it? Mikki?
Well, I think the key, I'm sorry not to interrupt, but I think the key to the scene in the money office is Matt, as we kind of look at the film, we're looking through his eyes. Yeah. He needs to believe this out of nowhere diagnosis. And I think that's part of it because although Anne seems to be very flat and vanilla and plain, she's really running a con both on Chris and Matt, right? Because they each have a part to play, if you will, in this con. And then things go awry because even things she didn't plan for happen to her. Like she would never say to Matt, hey, I need that money in the safe, because he'll say, hell no. But when he comes upon it himself, then all of a sudden it's, I could save your life and send you to Switzerland and blah, 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 blah.
But Tony,
my thing is that there is room because they've set up this money that he could make out even greater. What's the safe? 485,000? Now
no,
it's
$100 grand. It's $100K.
I think it was 485,000 in the safe that he winds up taking from evidence.
I thought it was $100K in the safe.
No, I thought it was 485. Long and the short of the point, 6 to 1 doesn't the other. It's a hell of a lot less than $1 million, which she's trying to make happen. She winds up getting the 750, and then that doesn't get approved. But it's selling a bag of shit to both Chris and to Matt because they feel like they're gonna be able to do what they need to do. Each one is different, but it's going to affect someone in the film that will give them an outcome. But Tony,
none of it makes sense because he
you're right.
He gives her the money. She doesn't take off. She turns around and gives it to Chris. We don't fucking know why. Fucking none of this is making any sense.
Right, because there are actually 3 people in this grift because there is no cancer. So it's the idea that they were trying to get the money the whole time. And then what does Matt do? He makes it even easier for them. Instead of them having to, kind of maneuver him or bully him, he winds up taking the initiative on his own and just handing her the money. Here you go.
And here's a question. And maybe I just missed it because did she say why she needed / wanted him to go to the doctor with her? And he didn't even think twice that she introduced him as her brother. Like,
Well,
do you know
because
what I
I
mean?
think it's
Like,
the idea that they're already lying about their relationship. They obviously can't tell people, "Hey, this is my wife,"
no,
because
I
they're
know
not
that,
married.
but
Right.
but for him, like, I don't know. For me, like, look how easy she lied. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Well, yeah, and it's always the idea of, you have to suspend some belief. Here's the deal, like, he's trying to be Mr. Supportive, he's a good guy, he's doing the right thing, this is, important, I'm going to my oncology appointment, just hold my hand and tell me everything's
yeah,
going to
but
be
why did he go
okay.
with her? Is what I'm wondering. Like, did she ask him? I
To
don't
do
even
all
remember.
those things. To do all those
No,
things.
no,
To
so
support
here's
her.
the
No,
problem.
because
So-
she has to plant that seed.
Yes,
in his
Beth,
mind.
No, I know.
Of
Excuse me.
course.
But like, does he not think that's weird? Like, hey, I know we're bumping nasties behind my husband's back and behind your soon-to-be ex-wife's back, and it's a total secret. Shush, shush, shush. But can you go to my oncology appointment with me so they can tell me that my can't? You know what I mean? Like, that's just weird to me, and I don't know if they ever showed her saying, hey, can you go to the doctor? I'm or
No, I
something.
think she
You know what I
gets the
mean?
phone call and they just go to the appointment. The next thing is they're at the appointment.
Oh,
And also,
okay.
I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but she's driving a Mercedes, and the Mercedes is like covered in Bondo.
Oh, yeah, it's
And
junk.
it's like, yeah, so it's like it's this thing where she's trying to be. So they're giving you a clue right there, which I will, credit where credit's due. I think that this is a great clue. She's somebody who's trying to have heirs and be more than she is because she can't afford that Mercedes. She's a friggin' dental hygienist.
Right.
You know?
If you remember in the plot earlier, they talked to you about Dean Cain. He was a former professional football player, and he got cut from the team or whatever the situation is. So he went from opulence and wealth to a security guard job at the hospital. You know what I mean? So it's the kind of thing where these people know the pain and suffering, and that's why they've hatched this crazy ass plan to try and get this money. But it's the idea that I think you're absolutely right. She is supposed to be the mastermind here, and she does not come off as anybody who has a clue in hell of what's going on. So.
Here's the problem with this whole plot, though. So they've gone through all this trouble, all three of these guys, to plot to get this fucking money out of this safe that she knows about, right? But they're all just kind of going on the assumption that he's going to offer it to her. No, he's not going to offer it to her. And you're not going to go through all this trouble on a fucking hunch that he might. Like, if anything, you have to give me this. She goes in, she gets the policy for the $750K, they approve it, and she says, look, you're going to give me the money out of the safe, I'm going to take off, I'm going to disappear. And fucking, you're going to get that money back, you're going to put it back in the safe, and then you're going to join me, and we're going to fucking take the rest. And then he gives her the money. She's conning him. There's no con job here.
Right.
She's just
well,
like,
and I think the other thing is that she didn't expect Matt to give her the money. My other thing is that if you can't get it the easy way, you'll get it the hard way because you're supposed to be desperate people. So it's to the idea of they whack Matt over the head, and when he wakes up, he's strapped to the chair, and they say, give us the safe combo because we're taking the money.
yeah, well, I mean,
Right.
that's better than what we got.
Yeah,
We got
no,
nothing.
I agree. That would have been a better possibility because it would have been a hell of a lot more grounded in reality rather than Matt coming up with this fairy tale idea of I'm gonna make everything better.
Yeah, I mean, what's the fucking conversation between fucking Roy and Chris? Like in the beginning, like, so you'll take him to the doctor's office, you'll convince him he got cancer, then you'll go over to this insurance place and they'll make him the beneficiary, and then hopefully he'll fucking decide on his own, take the money out of the
Right,
safe.
and even that fake anger where she throws the alarm clock. That is poor acting. I mean, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. I could have done a better job than that. And then she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just stressed."
Yeah,
I'm like,
it makes no
okay.
sense. And I literally said to myself when
How did
she
she say
gave
that,
her,
honey?
I just thought I'm stressed.
oh God, when
Don't make fun of my accents. Stop.
when he gives her the money in the car, I literally said to myself,
What the fuck?
I just said, well, this can't be like a double cross. Like, she can't be in on it because how would she know that he was going to offer the money out of the evidence safe?
You
Like,
wouldn't.
you wouldn't.
Yeah, that's just the idiocy of Matt Whitlock in this movie. I mean, he just,
Like, did she call fucking Chris up and be like, well, it worked. He offered me the money out of the safe.
surprise!
I knew he
We
would.
hit the lotto.
Oh, God. Now call John and we'll make it even more complicated. You'll give the money to him. He'll go to a hotel. Fucking Matt will go and fight him. He'll fall off the edge. Matt will get the money back. We'll trick him into bringing the money back to you. You'll fucking... It's like, what? The fuck is going on? How about night one? Fucking she has the money. He gave her the money. She calls Chris and John and goes, I have the money. Let's split it up and get the fuck out of town. End of the movie.
Right.
Oh, God. Fuck this movie.
Well, it adds to the tension because I'll give you the idea of the movie. I think they spent all the fucking money on the fight scene in the hotel room.
Oh, God.
A, pretty cool stunt work. B, not CGI. And C, whoever did the stunts in this film deserves a pat on the back because they are truly hanging by a thread from the 7th floor of the frickin' hotel.
Tony, they give us a fucking great ending, like a great twist ending that blows all of our minds like the end of fucking Usual Suspects. And this is a great movie. You change a couple of words.
They didn't, unfortunately, and it's not a great movie.
Yeah, no, I mean, you just change
I got you.
Yeah.
The worst part, too, is they like you said, they planted all the seeds. They just didn't tend the fucking crop, so we had nothing to eat at harvest time.
The garden never grew. It snowed and we all starved to death. It was horrible.
Yeah, everybody died in Jamestown. I got you there.
We all get dysentery.
That's right. There's no Thanksgiving here. You fuckers are going hungry.
I will say that I feel like part of what they're doing with Matt is giving him the knight in shining armor complex. And because the thing didn't work with Alex, now he's hyper trying to be Mr. Amazing. And that might be why they think he's going to be like looking to fucking save your life because he just fucked up his marriage. I don't know. I mean, maybe.
But he feels grimy.
It's very thin. That's very thin, but I'm just saying.
He feels grimy to me because they never make it clear that he wasn't cheating on Alex and two-timing her. They never make that clear throughout the entire movie. They do make it clear that she wasn't aware that he was having sex with somebody else, but she does on many occasions during the movie say, you can't talk because what, that's your girlfriend or something? So it's never made clear, did he cheat on Alex or not?
Right. Not only that, but, that's that high school technique of, you're making fun of someone because you like them. Yeah. And it's like, dude, we can't be a little more adult in this movie and just speak our emotions and not, you know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck, people?
We also find out that fucking Matt has known Anne since high school, and I think they dated in high school. So how can his fucking homicide detective wife not know any of this?
And here's the thing. That was such a pointless fact. Like, why did they even bring that fact up? Because it gave no bearing to anything in the movie except they've known each other a long time. Big fucking deal. Like they didn't it made no sense. It didn't have any
it had no bearing, and there's no screen chemistry between them either because they're both flat as a board.
It made anti-sense. It made anti-sense. It made even less sense because fucking they've been friends for so long. It's like
he should know she's a shady bitch.
Yes, he should see the train on the tracks. Yes,
because this shit didn't happen on Tuesday. It's been around for a long time.
Exactly. I didn't see this going this way when I picked this movie. I thought it was going to be a love fest.
You know why? We were reminiscing about it like it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, but I don't think there was any talk of Oscar work here.
Me and Tony were talking about it like it was the fucking Matrix or something.
Wrong.
Anne comes by Matt's house the next day apologetic. She gives him an envelope, making him the beneficiary of the $1 million. She's leaving town because she needs some peace. Meanwhile, Matt is served with divorce papers from Alex. He decides to bring Anne the money from the police lockup to pay for Switzerland. Later, he tries to phone Anne, but the phone keeps ringing. He drives by her house, but it's dark. A motion sensor light comes on and an elderly neighbor sees him, so Matt leaves. Later, the house explodes in flames. In the morning, 2 burnt corpses are in the embers. Matt is upset, but he's trying to hide it. Alex, being a homicide detective, shows up and takes over the scene. The fire chief shows a device proving arson. Alex catches a lift with Matt and apologizes for the divorce paper timing, but he assures her he's all right with it, and they'll work on this together. So honestly, at this point in the movie, I already know that's not Chris and Anne in the house, because they telegraphed it so hard with Chris in the morgue staring at that dead body. I put that line together well before that even happened. I was like, this guy working in the morgue around dead bodies is going to come into play. And when they showed the 2 dead bodies, I'm like, that's not them. I knew that right off the bat. I don't know how, but it was so telegraphed to me.
Yeah, I am 100% sure that this was $100K in that safe. I don't know where Tony's getting $485,000, but I'm 100% sure it was $100K. Did you see the pile of money? It's tiny. And I remember him saying $100,000. Dude,
okay, I'll tell you what. the DEA wouldn't be so worried about it if it was that small amount. But
the
newspaper shows the amount.
Google it while I'm going through my thoughts. So Anne gives Chris the revised insurance policy, naming him the beneficiary, and the plot thickens here. At this point, I don't have any leads, but unlike with last week when we were last show we did when we were talking about the other Denzel movie there, The Inside Man, I'm not really confused. Dylan, what was the price?
It is $500,000.
So Tony was closer if this is Price is Right. He was closer without going over.
Da 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 da
Okay.
da da da. Tell us what he's won, Johnny.
You won a fucking shitty ending. Okay, so that is a little better then. That is a little better. So maybe he just gave her $100,000 to go with. He gave her the whole. Lynn's shaking her head.
No, I gave her the whole fucking thing.
Okay,
'cause you got to remember too, Matt in this movie. I don't know if he's a hero or a sucker, but he plays both because he does some fucking scratch your head stupid shit.
Absolutely. So yeah, it makes no sense. So she gives him the insurance policy, naming him the beneficiary, which he's more than happy to accept here, but not happy to accept at the end. None of this makes sense. I don't have any leads at this point in the movie, but I'm not confused like I was with The Inside Man. I am following what's going on, and I'm very optimistic that it's all going somewhere, so I'm still having a little fun. Then the plot thickens a little more. Matt gives Anne the drug money in the car out of nowhere, just says, hey, I was thinking about it, and I think it's a very good idea that I give you this $500,000, and you meet me at my house a little bit later on. No. Even if you're going to do something fucking stupid like this, you go, look, I got the $500,000 out of the safe. I'm going to hold on to it. You're going to meet me at my house later, and we're going to fucking make some plans, right? Who the fuck is going to give her the $500,000 and say, fucking meet me at the 7-Eleven at 11? Not happening.
No, because you're going to be standing there twiddling your thumbs an awful long time.
Yeah,
I mean, buy her a ticket, send her there with some pocket money, and say, go get the treatments. I'll take care of all the arrangements. But don't hand her a briefcase full of money and expect her to come back smiling. She's jet on your ass.
And like Mikki said, he's known this girl since high school. You're telling me that just in the last fucking couple of minutes she got shady? No.
Yeah, you found out she was a gold digger 15 minutes ago.
Right? Yeah, she's been a fucking shady fucking piece of shit since high school, and he's gonna hand her a briefcase with $500,000 in it that could put him in jail for fucking quite a long time. No, there's no reason for her to drive off with that money. Meet me at my house at 10. Period. Right. I've got $500,000. Finally, we get Chris being blown off by Anne. Who saw that coming? And then being spotted by the old lady seconds before the house explodes, right? So, again, this just feels like there's no way these three fucking buffoons set this up this way. It doesn't make any sense. He doesn't get a phone call from her saying, hey, you know what? Change your plan. I need you to meet me at my house, but be quiet. I have something to tell you. Meet me around back. He fucking shows up. He sneaks around back. She's not there. The house explodes, right? He's seen by the fucking nosy neighbor. She's now got... Nope, none of that. They just, once again, just like assuming he's going to decide all on his own to give her the $500,000 because he's a good guy. They also just assume that he's going to go to the house looking for her because she didn't call him and be fucking ID'd by the old lady who thinks fucking everybody looks like Denzel. It's fucking retarded.
It almost reminds me of like a Keystone Cops show from the 20s where they're just running around in a circle hitting each other because they don't know what to do. I mean, you watch Matt Whitlock and you're like, I don't know if this guy's smart or a complete moron because he puts himself in these situations and you're like, dude, did you think about anything before you did this? Or are you just running on gut instincts and stupidity?
But Tony, they don't fucking make any sense of any of this because these people now have the money. They have the money. Mm-hmm. Fucking Chris, Anne, and Joe have the fucking money. So I don't understand why this movie is even still going on. Why aren't they just leaving the country with $500,000?
The crooks are just as stupid as the good guys in the film.
I mean, why has Chris
I don't
now
know.
given
Why
the
get
money?
a hotel in downtown
Yes,
Miami and
yes,
then leave
and-
a credit card trail for your detective
Yes,
to follow with the
and
crumbs?
give this ex-con that fucking works in the morgue the $500,000 that you were lucky enough to get from the fucking
I
cop.
can't answer.
Like, listen, here's the $500,000. Now we're gonna trust you
Because we need to have the best sequence in the action movie.
And the
side of
weird
things
thing
come up.
is that Chris actually says to whoever he's talking to on the phone, did the guy get there yet? He says to Chris on the phone when Chris says to Joe while Joe's in the hotel room, he says, did the guy get there yet? It's never explained. Are they taking the $500,000 and buying like $1 million in cocaine? I don't know. It would have been a good plot point. If
You
they-
would think they're leaving the country because he's getting IDs. Right?
I know.
He's-
I saw that. I
Right,
saw they
right.
were getting the IDs, but he
right.
makes a point
Who
of
is
saying to
that?
Joe, who is
Right.
the guy that he's meeting in the hotel room?
Intrigue. I don't know.
Mickey.
For what purpose? We don't know.
Who is the guy, Mickey? Who is the guy? Who is
Tell
he
us.
meeting?
Tell us, Mick.
I can't. Like this makes no like I will say this. They do a really good job of making you a little anxious as he's trying to deal with all this shit. Do you know what I mean? They do a good job of like because there's a couple times I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? Like keeping the pace.
That's just
There's
my
no
wife.
fucking point.
She gets
Why are
anxious
we-
about
why-
everything.
That's the noise I made at the end of the movie.
But they don't. They make a good point of keeping you a little anxious as he's doing this, but they don't make a good point of explaining why he's even doing this. Like, why is this like you said? Why is this even happening? Like,
Yeah, and the funny thing is like Tony said, why would you get a hotel room with your fucking name? You've left the ID in your apartment for fucking Matt to find, right? So and then fucking Chris calls Joe at the hotel with the fucking fake IDs in his hand. Like, why not wait just a couple more hours till you have the fake ID and get the room under the name of one of the fake IDs so the police can't track you down? I don't understand that. This is fucking terrible. Tony, why? Talk about it.
I'm gonna go with the whole reverse version, the Keystone Bandits as well as the Keystone Cops. I don't know. It's a contest to see who's dumber, one side or the other.
Alex and Matt speak to Anne's employer, who tells them that she quit because she's got terminal cancer. A coworker reveals she was having an affair because she was receiving flowers. Matt fakes a call to a flower shop and reports that the husband sent them, even though he sent them because he's an idiot. Next, Alex plans to go to the oncologist. First, they speak with Anne's primary, who says there's no way that she had cancer. Matt freaks out and runs up to oncology and busts into the doctor's office, where he finds a man with the same name but a different face than the doctor he saw in there with Anne. She was tricking him. Matt takes the gold pen from the desk he saw the fake doctor using. In the car, Alex is calling from phone records, and Matt is nervous. Back at the police headquarters, the neighbor is giving info to a sketch artist. The woman says Matt was the man. Matt looks like the man, but no one believes her when she starts to point to every black man and say she looks like him. It's just fucking hilarious. Matt sends out the pen for fingerprints. Meanwhile, the DEA is breathing down his neck to collect the money Matt gave to Anne, although they think it's just sitting in the locker and Matt's being lazy. Anne's phone record finally shows up to the fax, and Matt intercepts them, alters them, and tricks everyone with it for now. I will give him props. This whole thing with him trying to take his name off and fax it and, pulling the cord out. This was clever. It made me get all fucking like, is he going to do it? Is it going to happen? Like, it gave me that momentary of like, ooh. But honestly, for me, a little too little to save everything.
It's a fun scene for sure, right?
Yeah.
But you've got these detectives, like Tony said, they're not fucking local bumpkins. They've taken over this case. But every time the local fucking shitbag sheriff says, put that phone down. You don't need that. You don't need that. Put it down. And then like these agents are like, all right. Just listen, you just can take my fucking word for it. Whatever I say is evidence. You don't need to talk to anybody. These are not the droids you're looking for. Don't worry about it. And it's like,
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
He's like, this entire investigation is just all on fucking Matt's word. Like, okay, so we need to get this answer. Matt's like, well, the answer is this. Well, we could just make a phone call and like find out right from the horse's mouth. Nah, you don't need to do that. My word is good enough. Oh, all right. Let's just go with that then. Let's go with whatever fucking Matt says.
Right. And the worst part too is from that perspective, it's like, dude, if you had just done right, none of this shit would have to go on. You are the cause of and the answer to all your fucking problems because you've pulled some bonehead plays.
Why you don't lie. Don't lie.
All right. So in the dental office, we get the first of many scenes where Matt will fake calls to cover his tracks during the investigation. This is the charm of the movie. Without all of this, these scenes of Matt staying literally less than a half a step ahead of the investigation, using his little tricks and his little things. This movie completely sucks. Like, this is the charm of the movie. Like DeLynn said, she's on the edge of her seat. She's getting that, oh my God, is he going to pull this off? And he's always doing it by the fucking skin of his ass, right? That's what's fun about this movie. Unfortunately, none of it pays off. And also we have to believe that the rest of these agents are just completely clueless. Next, we get the payoff scene from the earlier scene in the Dr. Freeland's office. And we realize nothing is what it seems in this movie. And it feels like this is going to be a great payoff, right? It's not. We also see him grab a gold pen. Again, this is going to be a great payoff. Like, this person is going to be the linchpin. No, it's not the linchpin. It's Joe Schmo that they met. I don't even know how they met him at the hospital. He's a fucking... I don't know,
they
man.
tell you so far past that point in the movie who he really was that you almost forgot he existed.
And how did they meet him? And wouldn't it have been better if she had been like a nurse and met this guy because he worked at the morgue in the hospital? Why make her a dental assistant? How did she bump into this guy?
Well, honestly, I'll give you the outside edge here, Des, is that this whole movie is a bro code film. Right. It wasn't called that, I think, in 2002 or 3. But it's the idea that every relationship in this movie is based on male kind of bonding. Right. Che is always covering Matt Whitlock's ass.
Yep.
What's his name? Joe and Chris are fast friends from the hospital because one worked as a security guy and one worked as a morgue tech.
Right.
Even to the idea of, the two idiots that they send from DEA. If Denzel Washington yelled at your boss and then threw your phone on the ground and squished it and then said sorry and got in his truck and left, you would be fit to be tied. But because they're, I guess, fellow cops, for some reason they let him go like nothing's ever happened.
Tony, you know what's funny? I forgot that fucking Chris even was an ambulance driver for the hospital because they just didn't underline it enough for it to stand out
there's
in my
one
mind.
scene. There's just one scene and it's literally 18, 20 seconds long.
And you just see the ambulance in the background. Like, you're supposed to put all this together like no, show them talking to each other at work earlier in the movie, even if it has nothing to do
even
with
if it's just some idle chatter, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, just so we put one and one together, this is where he fucking knows the guy from. Oh, fuck this movie. Mickey. Finally, we go.
Tell us how you really feel. Come
and I
on,
just
baby.
wanted to say, we do get this subplot with the DEA wanting the money back, right? Which is really going to be the only satisfying payoff in the movie is just going to be when Che comes rolling in. But no, you can't build a whole subplot on that.
Right. And the best part too, that's the part of the movie that works the best.
It does.
Because it's the idea of, I told you my guy was there. And he's like, 63rd Street, where the hell, and it's like, that is almost like slapstick fucking, Curly Larry and Moe style comedy.
Yeah.
But it pans and it sells itself to the DEA guys, even though they're stiff as fuck.
Perfect. It's perfect. But the problem was they needed 5 more of these to pay off for this to be a great movie. Oh, that's why she did it. Oh, that's why they killed Joe. Oh, that's why no.
Exactly.
Nope.
Exactly.
Nope.
A lot of loose ends, not a lot of people tying them up.
No, and in fact, they give us one more giant loose end at the end that we'll get to that you're just like, what the fuck was that? Mickey?
Yeah, you guys are really pretty much saying everything I'm thinking in my head. Like, honestly, like,
dude, Dylan, you put crickets in right there. It'd be the best thing ever.
I thought maybe she was having an aneurysm.
No, like, I can't. So the guy, the fake doctor, okay, he didn't need to be there. Like, he didn't need to be in the movie. Like, they could have used him for like that one little scene. They didn't have to. I don't know. I just felt that was super sloppy. And then you're right. They find out about him so much later. Like, again, you almost forget about him. And then it's got so many holes. And the scenes with him trying to, keep up with everything are good. And I love Denzel. It's hard to bash Denzel's
Banter. Yeah.
But he didn't have a lot to work with. Like, I don't know. He must have taken this for the paycheck and not for the.
I think that's what actors do, dear. They
No,
do
shut up.
movies
You know
to
what I
get
mean.
paid.
Like,
that's their livelihood.
don't shut your mouth. I'm not done.
Love
You're
you.
such a smart ass.
No.
I didn't mean. I know. Yes, everybody gets a paycheck. What I'm saying is, he probably looked at this and went, "This is gonna suck balls," but I'm making $20 million, so I'm gonna take one for the team and do it. Because this is no Fallen. This, you know what I mean? Like, this movie. Go ahead. I'm done.
Honestly, I think the cast is okay.
Me too.
I think as a gang of
It
actors.
just needs fucking John Travolta, and we'll be fine.
Or Frank Stallone, but that's
Sure.
neither here nor there. I think the
Both.
key is if we have a better fucking plot and a hell of a lot better script, we're gonna have a
Yes.
lot fucking better movie.
Yeah,
But,
this
you
is
know.
this is a movie built around a double cross, a fucking plot to steal money, and it doesn't exist, and that's a problem.
It's thin as air.
It's there. There is no
Yeah.
plot. Lynn, keep going. There's no plot. There's no plan. Their plan doesn't exist.
Yeah.
There's no plan.
And the parts of it that do are so fucking thin you could see through it.
I mean, dude,
It's bad. It's all bad.
Jesus. I don't understand. Why they thought he would just give her $500,000.
Well, they're supposed to be in love, but
That's
I don't.
a plan.
I don't
Tony.
feel it. I don't feel
That's
it.
a plan. Give
No.
me fucking. Give me. We're gonna tie him to a chair and make him give us the money, like you said earlier. It's a better plan.
Yeah, I mean, beat it out of him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Tell him
beat
that
it
you
out
got to
of
get
him.
the combination of the safe. He's going to let you into the police
mean,
station, steal the money. Then he can
tickle it out
claim
of
he's a
him.
victim. I mean, come on, dude.
I don't know.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's a contrivance that's, ugly
It's an
is
ugly
the right
bitch.
word. Very
This
good.
is an ugly bitch. Delaney, keep going.
Che arrives with the autopsy report saying that both people were dead before the fire because their lungs were clear of smoke. But then another cop shows up with the cell phone records saying that there's a Banyan Key city worker's number on it regularly. Matt knows it's his number, and he quickly shuts off his phone ringer and voicemail while pretending to be on a call to throw them off. Jay knows that number belongs to Matt, so he says it's actually his number. I mean, that's the bro code to the highest degree. Now that Che knows Matt was involved with Anne, he demands to know what's happening, and Matt comes clean to him. The prints from the pen come back to a guy named Tony Cabot, who's an ex-con. Matt and Che go to this guy's place. It's dirty and deserted, but they find a credit card statement in the trash can, along with a bunch of gross-looking pizza, and a Cabot's Mercy Hospital morgue pass. When returning to the station, Che offers to take Matt to the airport, but Matt says he's not going to run. At the station, the insurance company tells Alex that Chris Harrison was the beneficiary, but there's a notation that a change was coming through that they don't have yet. She asks him to locate it and will call her back. Matt finds out from the credit card company Cabot last used his card at a hotel in Miami. He hears Alex also asking about Paul Cabot in the squad room because the fucking idiots left a receipt in their car with his name on it because they're fucking morons. As he's leaving, 2 DEA agents arrive looking for the evidence money, but he buys some time by telling them that he sent it to their office. At the hotel, Matt pretends to be Cabot and gets a new room key for the front desk. Entering with gun drawn, he's jumped by Cabot and the two men fight. They end up crashing through the slider onto the balcony. It collapses and both men hang in midair. Finally, Cabot falls to his death, and Matt crawls back up and finds a briefcase where the money is. Trying to leave, Alex arrives with backup. The front desk clerk points him out as Matt dashes to the stairwell, and the chase is on, but Alex didn't get a good look at the runner. Then Matt reappears and says he just got there too. Oh! In the confusion, he manages to get out the back door with the money to his car. He calls Che to say he has the money. Alex arrives at his car and says that they need to talk. So when I say, brought this up earlier, but when I say Matt bought himself some time with the DEA, I actually really got a good chuckle out of him taking that phone and stomping it in the ground and basically being like, deuces, as he drives away. And what are those guys going to do? Are they going to arrest him? Like, what are you going to do?
His name is Tony Cabot. This whole time we've been calling him like Paul or Joe or something.
whatever.
Paul, did I say Paul? Paul Cabot.
Is it
Yeah,
Paul?
Paul Tony.
Paul
We know the
Cabot.
worst part. The guy is so fucking forgettable. Nobody remembers his
Okay.
name anyway. Come on.
Yeah, it's Paul
Yeah.
Cabot.
Paul Cabot. Okay, so this fucking scene with Matt trying to alter the phone records, very exciting, very good. Again, these were the things that I remembered the last time, which was made me so hot to do this. Like, this is a great movie. Yeah, it's fun watching him stay half a step ahead. Like the Lynn said, this is all really good stuff. We see Jay has Matt's back, but it's never really explained why any of these people, Matt, Jay, anybody would put their entire lives at risk to help somebody else the way they are. It just doesn't make any sense. We find out in Paul Cabot's apartment that he worked at the hospital. Great. I mean, it's just not, it doesn't fucking matter. We get this quick setup with the DEA agents. This is going to pay off at the end. This is the only setup in the entire movie that fucking actually pays off and puts a little smile on my face and made this entire thing worthwhile. And finally, we get a ton more plot points. Chris is getting fake IDs. We see Paul has the 500K. But none of it makes sense. And then, like we talked about earlier, Chris calls Paul and says, did he get there yet? I'm assuming that they are just, once again, assuming that Matt is going to fucking figure out what's going on, follow the paper trail of receipts to the hotel, and then Paul is going to assassinate him in the room, kill him, right? But why? Why? It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the only way this makes sense is if somehow they've got an ID that says Matt Whitlock, and they're going to go and try and cash in the $1 million policy at the end. But I don't know.
And honestly, Des, it's a short con. They're not in it for the $1 million because you need to have time and effort and proof and.
So why are they whacking? Why are they going to whack Matt?
I don't think they're
point?
trying to whack Matt because I'll put it this way: the only guy brings a gun to that hotel room is Matt because he's the policeman.
Oh, doesn't
the idea
Paul
like
doesn't
he's
have a gun?
No.
I think Paul has the gun, and he
No.
Wow,
No. It's Matt's
Wow.
gun that he. So I think he got ambushed. I don't think he was ready for him at all. I think Paul is a 3-time loser.
So
in a lot
who
of
is
senses.
fucking Chris talking about when he asks Paul, did the guy get there yet?
Couldn't tell you.
Oh, fuck, that's bad.
Couldn't
That's
fucking
bad.
tell you.
Mickey,
You know what? Maybe it's better we don't know because we'd only be more let down if we actually knew who it was.
do you know anything
don't.
about this movie?
I don't. I know that again, Denzel did it for the paycheck.
20 million.
I did
Yeah.
it for the paycheck.
I mean, it's just it's
Yeah, I get it.
What are you gonna do?
Tony.
You know what? I'm living the life of regret because I think you and I, as our last speaking, we decided this movie was going to just be great. And boy, did we get let down hard, baby.
Well, listen, this is what happens when we wait until 1 hour before the program to pick the movie.
Not only that, but the worst part is 24 years or 22 years later, you realize that your opinion of things changes dramatically.
well. And here's the thing: like I had seen this before, and I said when I first heard you announce that this is the movie that we're doing, and I'm like, oh, because Tony never told me that's what you guys decided. And then I was sitting there, and we started watching it. I'm like, it sounds familiar. I think I've seen it. And then we started watching it. Like I'm like, I have seen this. And then I asked him about one of the plot points, and he's like, just watch it. And I'm like, this movie was so forgettable. I had seen it, and I think I remember liking it more way back when it first came out. But again, only because it had Denzel. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many forgettable.
We picked the worst 2 Denzel movies ever. Like, there's Book of Eli, there's Deja Vu, there's the one about the devil trying to fucking possess everybody.
Fallen, that was so good.
Fallen, so good. There's so many we could have picked. We're like, let's do fucking Out of Time and The Inside Man.
Well, wait a minute. One thing I will say is that it does make for a good review because I think we do a nice job of picking apart the little meat that's on the bone and then tearing up the shit that, as viewers, we have to scratch our head and go, what the hell is this?
This
Jesus,
one-
Mary and Joseph, I could have wrote a better script than this.
This one, though, was blowing my mind.
Yeah,
How
it's just
poorly
bad.
it was fucking fleshed out.
Well, you know what? We need a number 102, and this movie might just become number 102 on the ratings. So.
No way this is as bad as fucking The Fifth Element or that other piece of shit we watched. Okay. All right, Dylan.
Lilu Dallas multipass.
Let's finish this fucking thing. Let's just do it. You know what's funny? I didn't even use half my notes because I was doing my notes as I was watching it today, and I was like, oh, this is a great movie. So I had written all these like really positive notes, and then I saw the ending, and I'm like, I can't read any of this now.
Throw that shit out.
Go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, after you like freaked out because you didn't have time to write copious notes. You didn't even use them. You fucking asshole.
Yeah, Mikki, Tony, over the next 2 weeks, you two discuss some great movie options and bring us something that everybody's going to love because the viewers are probably like, stop picking B. Denzel Washington movies. We'll do better next time.
Maybe.
Oh, no, we will. I promise.
All right. So they go to a bar and they talk about their relationship. Then Alex asks Matt if he wants to say anything, but he doesn't because, of course, pride. He can't just admit what he's done. They return to Banyan Key in silence. Back in the squad room, Alex once again looks at the cell phone records. She tells Matt the hotel clerk will be there in 30 minutes. A weeping Ann phones and says she's sorry, but Chris made her do it and she still needs the money. Matt gets the address and ducks out the washroom window. The hotel clerk arrives. Alex looks again at the face sketch and clues in that it's Matt. The call comes in and the new beneficiary is Matthias Whitlock. The 3 DEA agents show up and ask to see Whitlock. Alex hears all the details about the $485,000. Matt arrives at the dark shack. He enters warily and sees a beaten Ann. Chris appears and starts shooting. Chris is out of ammo, and trying to escape, he gets shot by Ann. Next, she points the gun at Matt and admits that she was behind it all. What? She shoots Matt in the thigh before she can kill him. Alex shoots him and kills her from behind. Alex is wary that Matt was going to give Ann the money and checks the briefcase only to find that it only contains his tracking GPS, meaning that he wanted them to find him all along. Police arrive en masse and Alex gives them a plausible story covering for Matt. The DEA agents arrive demanding the money just as Che arrives with the satchel saying there was a mistake with the address. As Matt is loaded into an ambulance, Alex asks if he loves Ann or loved Ann, and he says no, that he was just being stupid. Tell me about it. Later, Matt is fishing. Matt is fishing from his deck. Alex arrives relaxed and friendly, talking about moving her stuff. Che arrives with the mail and the insurance company informing him that he's about to get $1 million. Alex says he can't accept it as it's a conflict of interest. Matt agrees as Alex says she's moving back in. She's still his wife. This fucking ending is a fucking piece of shit.
Piece of shit.
It's a
Can I
piece
ask a
of
question?
shit.
Yes, please do.
Why was Anne so sweaty and wet?
Because they wanted her to look like a crackhead.
They're in Florida.
She looked
hot.
like she had just gotten out of the shower. Like she was dripping. I'm like, why is she so gnarly and sweaty?
They should have showed like a crack pipe or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say because her eyes are all puffy and bugged out and red, and then she goes, "Do you think Chris did this to me?" with the big gash on her face. So she blasts herself into the table to give her like authenticity. That's supposed to show her mastermind skills behind this whole plot. Oh my God,
dude!
so
It makes
thin.
no sense.
Yeah,
Tony.
I can read the paper through this because
why are you gonna bash your face off a table? It's like it makes no sense. Just sit there sweaty with some runny mascara and say he's been beating me up. You should see the bruises on my ribs.
Right.
You have to take my word for
it. Exactly.
Dude. And why didn't Paul Cabot just take the money and drive out of town?
Because he's an honorable thief.
They didn't establish that relationship between Paul and Chris to the point where they have a $500,000 bond between them that can't be broken.
Right.
This guy would be like...
Here's the best part, too, is that, usually in a movie, you never reload and you have unlimited rounds. In this movie, he only fires a 6-shot revolver 4 times and he's out of bullets.
Dude.
I've never seen that happen. Except in this movie.
Tony.
Yeah, that is the harbinger of all shitty things in this film.
Because Tony, he actually says to him, "Oh, that's that gun. It only holds 6 shots." And I'm like, I counted 4. You should have 2 left. He pulled the trigger. I went click, click. I went, what the fuck is going on here?
My husband needs to be an advisor for Hollywood.
I'm hoping that'll be my retirement job. I'm gonna move. I hate California, but I'm gonna move to Hollywood and advise technically.
Ooh, have fun because I'm not going.
And if
love you, honey.
So
thanks.
So Matt gets there, right? She is counting on Matt bringing the money back to her and Chris, where she's going to double cross Chris, shoot him, then triple cross, well, not even triple cross, because at this point, the director's completely fucking not even introduced any sort of idea that Matt might.
Have a clue.
It makes no sense. It makes no sense. This guy has got himself in this far over his head over a side piece. It makes no sense, right? So she's going to kill Chris.
Who he claims not to love.
Right, who he claims that he doesn't even love.
There's no love there.
He's excited to go back to his wife after putting his entire life on the line, giving this fucking whole side piece $500,000 in good faith. It makes no sense. Her entire intention now is to shoot Chris, double cross him, then shoot fucking Matt and take the money back, which she already had fucking 2 days ago in her possession that she could have rolled out of town with. So for some reason, these three crooks are just passing this money around like fucking willy-nilly, and nobody's like, I'm going to do shit. So for us to get to this point in the movie where she's already had the money once, given it to Chris giving it to Paul is giving it back to Matt is now driving it back to fucking Chris, who is going to be shot and give it ultimately back to Anne, who had the money. Who had the money originally.
All I can hear is the Benny Hill music in the background.
It is fucking
because it's right. You're correct.
Insane.
Yeah, it's weak. It's weak as
fuck. It is fucking insane. And then we get the payoff with the FBI agents, which we've already said, or the DEA agents, we already said is clever. It's a lot of fun. But it is like, this is not a twist ending. I'm sorry. This makes no sense at all. And that's it, man. It's like they get their money back.
Also, do you think that Alex, for 1 second, who's the newly minted homicide detective, is going to take a chance with her newly minted and be like,
no,
he was doing this. He was.
No, she wasn't. No, so that's not.
No.
That wasn't the case though. She was going to fucking turn him in. Had the money been in the briefcase, he was going to prison.
Of course,
she wasn't going to cover for him.
Yeah.
So she was really. She did when she realized that he was running a game on them to get the money back. She was okay to turn her a blind eye to some of the other stuff he did, saying, okay, maybe he was lying to us to get the money back. I get it. It was an investigation. That's fine. So I'm fine with that.
Right. There's almost plausibility there.
So then at this point in the movie, if you're not going to introduce the $1 million fucking insurance policy in as any sort of a plot device to give me a nice little surprise at the end to make this all worthwhile, don't fucking bring it up again. Don't fucking bring it up again. So we get him fishing on the deck. We get Alex is there. They've decided they're going to, reconcile. They're going to get back together. And then what? Is the thing, he's going to trade the $1 million for a second chance with his wife? Is that what this is? That's the twist ending. That's the big plot ending. He could have got the $1 million and gone and been boyfriends with fucking Che and fished for fucking tuna off the Gulf of fucking Mexico forever with $1 million. But he's going to fucking trade it in for his relationship with fucking Alex. That's it? That's the ending? Fuck you. Go fuck yourself. Mickey, talk about that. Did you like the ending? Was it good?
I fucking hated it. I thought it was a piece of shit. And the fact that literally in the last 2 minutes of the movie, there's more emotion from Alex and Matt than there was in the whole other rest of the movie. Through the rest of the movie, you can't even tell like if they even like each other. And then all of a sudden they're like making out at the end, like I love you, I want to come back. First of all, if I was her, I'd be like, you're gonna move in with me because I'm not living in this little fucking shack on the water. Thank you very much with the tin fucking walls. But it made no sense.
No sense.
Absolutely no sense. Their whole relationship made no sense.
Dude, he's a grimy scumbag. Why would she want to even be with him? Her career is on the move. She's already done that dance with this loser.
Yeah, and one bad hurricane and that fucking house is out to sea.
Right? Thank you. Yes.
Dude.
Yes.
Wow, this is a hard room right now. You guys are just killing him.
Dude, that guy Matt has 2 beers too many, and he's dragging her into another fucking that horrible situation where he's giving a fucking hooker from the local bar $500K because he thinks he loves her. This is insane. It's insane. She's not going back to Matt. Matt needs to go into rehab, and he needs some therapy, and his badge will be stripped.
I agree.
He's a hot mess of a human being.
Yeah, he's a poor example for those people who worked in law enforcement.
He's a hot mess of a human being, and this woman is not gonna fucking take it back. And he's not gonna fucking choose her over $1 million. Him and his scumbag buddy are gonna go drink beers off the coast of Mexico and fish fucking tuna with their $1 million, which would have been a better ending.
Personally, I would have gone for a Tarantino-style ending, but hey, that's just me. Anyway.
All right.
Let's keep going.
Done. That's it.
Let's wrap it up. That's it. It's over.
Okay. Over.
That's it.
All right. Recast it.
Let's do it.
This should be fun.
I'd recast Denzel Washington with John Cusack. I don't even know why. Lynn, recast it.
So I recast Che, even though I thought he was awesome. He was my favorite part of the movie.
Right.
I recast him with Jack Black.
Nice. I like it. It's fine.
Okay.
It's perfect. It's perfect. It's
Good
a great
sidekick.
recasting.
Yeah, good side.
Mickey, recast this piece of shit.
I would honestly swap the 2 women characters. So I would make Eva Mendes be the love interest, and then the other chick be the wife. And
That would probably work better.
I like it.
And I just thought of this earlier when I said it, but I think they should have had John Travolta played Dean Cain's character.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah, because Travolta's
Dean
excellent
Cain's-
as an evil guy. Yeah,
Yeah, Dean Cain's a little bit of a lightweight for this as the bad guy.
he did okay though. I mean,
did okay.
He was believable.
He did
One of the few
okay.
characters in this movie that's actually written as a believable character. So.
What sitcom was he from? Was it like Full House or fucking?
No, he
or
was Superman.
The
Yeah,
Bell.
he played
that's
he
right.
played Superman on TV for a long time. Yeah,
For some reason, I kept seeing him as Slater from fucking
Later.
Saved by the Bell. Fucking okay. Tony,
Oh, that was
recast
Mario
it.
Lopez, I think.
Was put him in there. Put
I
Mario
went
in
I
there.
went way off the fucking board. I'm gonna take Matt Whitlock out of things. Denzel gets a seat, and I'm gonna put Justin Timberlake in there because I think you need someone
Sure.
younger and dumber.
I like it.
And I went with Elizabeth Olsen for Eva Mendes because you need a foil, and she's kind of a smart actress, and I liked her a lot in Wind River. So I changed the whole dynamic.
You know how I know I hate a movie? There's spit all over my desk.
Very emotional. Very emotional.
Let's do the quick alternate endings then.
As if we'd end the movie like that. Yeah.
Let's do the Scooby-Doo ending.
Good call.
Dude, I think you could have done a million endings that would have been better. Fucking, Jay and Matt are fishing, like I said, with $1 million, whatever. But here's a good one. So Jay shows up and shoots Ann, not Alex. Then he shoots Matt. Then he wipes down the gun, cleans off the prints, and drives away with $500,000. The end. Triple cross. That's what I got. Fucking, anybody else want to take a swing at it?
I have some.
Okay,
Go
go
on.
ahead.
Okay, so I have one that I actually wrote out. In my alternate ending, Anne succeeds in shooting Matt because he's a fucking she's like a fucking stormtrooper with her accuracy. Unless she's shooting at Chris, she's all over the fucking place. So in my movie, she actually shoots him because she actually is using some gun control. As Matt dies, just as Alex arrives, who then shoots Anne. The ending scenes are of Alex unraveling Matt's duplicity and lies and not moving back in with him because he's a piece of crap and he doesn't deserve her. She's too fucking smart and she's too fucking strong for him. My other thought was, and you guys had mentioned something and it brought it up to me, so I wrote it down. If you want to give me a twist ending, when the 2 dead bodies, because here's the other thing, Che never talks about the DNA of these 2 dead bodies. Like, if you've got 2 dead bodies and you can't tell who they are because they're fucking Rice Krispie treats that have been left in the oven for fucking 7 days, you need to do DNA so you know who these people are, right? So he should have done the DNA, and what you find out is one of them is not Anne, but the other one is Chris. But you, through the whole movie, you're led to believe Chris is the bad guy, right? So you're thinking it's Chris the whole time. And then at the very end of the movie, you find out Chris is dead and it's Anne. So like, if you want to give me that twist.
Or to Lynn, write the movie the opposite. Have fucking Che and Matt fucking working together. He gets the dead bodies, and they're actually working fucking Anne for the $750K she's gonna get when she does that thing. So she actually gets the check, and fucking they end up fucking double crossing anything.
So much easier to write a good story than to just write a fucking whatever this was.
Yeah, a lame ending, right? As I alluded to, I did the Tarantino Reservoir Dogs. Everybody gets shot in the big shootout. Matt's dead, Anne's dead, Chris is dead, Alex is dead. Che shows up to the boat, sees the money, grabs it, and off to Costa Rica, baby. C'est la vie. Fuck it. I'm done. AMF.
Yeah. So you're very similar to mine. You just don't have Che being a fucking murderer. I like yours better because Che's likable and I want to like him when he's fishing.
And he just kind of comes upon it and says, finders keepers. I'm gone.
I'm with you.
What
That's
if
good.
Che and Alex take the money and go?
No, you're overthinking it.
Alex would not do
You
that.
know what?
overthinking
They've
it.
tried to sell me a lot of dog shit in this movie. I'm not buying that dog shit.
You're not selling me that. Cap that fucking can up and take it on the road.
Abso-fucking-lutely not.
Okay, there it is. Let's do our rewatch scores and fucking. I promise to the listeners, we're not going to do this again. This is a mistake. I'm going to go
People
last.
love controversy, Des. Come on. If we were all just singing praises, what fun would that be?
So I was at 3.01. I was at 4. I was at 4 point something when I started watching the movie, and it kept going down. And then I was at 3.01, and then we talked through it. So does anybody remember what I gave the last one, Inside Man?
No, I don't remember.
What was the final score on that?
It was bad.
1.57.
1.57. So this is just a little better than that because at least it was kind of fun watching him try and stay ahead. So I'm going to give this what was the score again, hon?
1.57.
I'm going to give this a 1.75.
Oh, look at you with the little twist.
1.75. That's my
That was
score.
more twist than the plot at the end of the film.
Dylan, what do you got?
This film insulted me. I'm going to give it a 0.5.
Wow.
That's what I gave. That's what I gave fucking Fifth Element.
I know.
Okay, Mickey.
I gotta say, I think I might agree with Dylan, and the only reason that it's getting a 0.5 is because it's Denzel.
Oh God. Okay, so that's 2.5s. This thing is creeping
All right,
towards the bottom.
I'm going to try and bail it out with a whopping 1.9. How about that?
0.9.
Only because the music was good, the scenery was nice, and the cast, while handicapped by a totally lame script and plot, tried their best to salvage something out of nothing.
Okay, Dylan, add them up. Tell us where this thing lands. I think it's in last place.
It's not.
Really?
It is not. It is 1.16, which puts it at number 95, which is right under Streets of Fire and right above Brain Scan.
Wow. That's some competition to be in.
Brain Scan was awesome.
But just so you know, Inside Man is only 2 above it at number 93.
Right.
Okay, so the formula failed. Okay,
No,
here we go.
it was pretty much spot on. 2 places is not much, so.
This should be
I'm with you, brother.
above the Inside Man.
All
Okay,
right.
so here we go. We will be back in 2 weeks with original flavor Tony to review the 2006 horror flick Behind the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Bet you never heard of that movie before.
I haven't. I'm a little
I haven't.
worried.
Okay, and
No.
on our sister podcast, Violent Vinyl Radio, we will be breaking down Kicks, Blow My Fuse. So that's it. Until next time, I just have one question for you. Hey, did you ever see that movie? See you next time.
Like, comment, subscribe.
That's right.